Mommy says she's having a baby. Help. The phone rang suddenly in the middle of the night, and when I answered to find out what was going on, I was surprised to hear my 5-year-old grandchild screaming in agony. "Daddy's not there." The grandchild answered sadly, "Yes." What on earth is going on? When I asked her to replace her mom seemed to be in unspeakable agony, saying, "It hurts. I had a bad feeling that this was no ordinary labor contraction. I told my her to immediately go next door for help, and I jumped in a cab. 10 minutes later, I arrived at my daughter's house to find paramedics performing cardiac massage. Soon a hospital was found that would take her, and she was transported to the hospital. Please, please, save her. I could not stop shaking as I soothed my grandchild who was crying and hugging me, but my wish did not come true. I am Renee, a 65-year-old housewife. My husband passed away suddenly 2 years ago, and I live alone. My husband was a kind man, and we hardly ever fought during our 35 years of marriage. We were happy together, but the loss of my husband was a great burden to me. I have a son and a daughter, both of whom are married and independent. My son and his wife live out of state, and I see them only occasionally. My daughter Ren and my 5-year-old grandson live 10 minutes away by car, and they used to visit me often. My grandchild, Lei, is fair-skinned, has big eyes, is cute as a doll, and looks just like my daughter when she was little. Ren's husband, Kyrie, was a high school homeroom teacher. He was 10 years older than Ren, good-looking like an actor, and was often popular with female students. At a high school reunion after graduation, Ren met Kyrie again and started dating him, and she married him right after graduating from college. She was happy to have her first love come true. However, although my daughter seemed happy for a while after the marriage, things started to go a little differently after the birth of her child. It seems that from the beginning of their marriage, he had been overbearing at home, like a teacher and a student. She seemed to think that was fine with him because he was the one she loved and married. However, after the birth of her child, Kyrie started inviting students to her house on her days off to teach them how to study, and they were all beautiful female students. My daughter was ordered by Kyrie and the girls, serve tea and snacks. When she returned to my house, she murmured sadly, "Mother, I feel like a housekeeper. Come to think of it, I got married right after college and became a full-time housewife. Many of my friends are enjoying their youth, but I spend my days serving my husband like a housekeeper. It is a terrible thing to say to a young girl. However, I hope that Ren would do her best because she already had a daughter and was a mother, even though she was young. However, it seems that my daughter's daily life was much harsher than I thought. If only I had listened to my daughter's story in more detail at that time. If only I had visited my daughter's home more often, even if it seemed brazen, I would not have the regret I have today. I will continue to repent to my daughter until the day I pass away. Now let's go back to the story. She was beginning to feel that she and her husband were not getting along, and she was considering divorce, but she had never worked and had a young daughter, so she was stuck in the middle of nowhere, where she even found out that she was pregnant with her second child. It was around this time that my daughter asked me for advice. "I have a feeling that life with Kyrie is not going to be easy anymore. Do you hate him?" "It's not like that." "Then why? My father was always so kind and warm. I thought all husbands were like that, but there's something different about him. Of course, there are all kinds of people. But you're going to have a second child, so why don't you wait and see?" I said that. I didn't know that I would regret those words for the rest of my life. My daughter thought about it for a while and said, as if she had made up her mind, "You're right. If I work hard, maybe Kyrie will change. I'll try a little more." Ren was a serious and patient child from an early age. Before he died, my husband always said, "Ren will do her best even if she exceeds her limits, so let's not push her too hard." Remembering this, I had a bad feeling about her, but I tried to watch over her as best I could. However, my bad premonition turned out to be right. When my daughter was in her 8th month of pregnancy, something terrible happened. "Mommy says she's going to have a baby. Help me, Grandma." "Grandma?" Suddenly, in the middle of the night, I received a phone call from my 5-year-old granddaughter. "Daddy's not there." "Yeah, Mommy said her tummy hurts, and he said she was exaggerating and went away." When I asked her to replace her mom seemed to be in unspeakable agony, saying, "It hurts, ooh." I panicked, knowing that the patient Ren was in this state. "Grandma's going to go now. Until then, have Grandma and Grandpa next door come over?" "Okay," I told my grandchild, remembering that my daughter had told me that the elderly couple next door were kind and took good care of my grandchild. Lei looked like she was about to cry, but was trying her best to hold it in. I hastily jumped into a cab. When I arrived at my daughter's house, the ambulance had already arrived and the paramedics were giving her heart massage. When my grandchild noticed me, she hugged me and said "Grandma" and started to cry. While comforting my grandchild in this situation, I too was stunned and did not know what to do. Please, please, save her. All I could do was pray hard. Soon a hospital was found, and when the ambulance started to move, my grandchild and I rode with it to the hospital. My daughter managed to come back to life, but both she and her baby were in a critical condition, and emergency surgery was performed as time was of the essence. Before this surgery, the doctors asked me if she had suffered a blow to the abdomen, but I did not know and could not answer. During my daughter's surgery, I called my son-in-law several times, but he never got through. I had no choice but to sit on the couch in front of the operating room and wait for Lei and me. She was shivering, so I took off my own coat, hung it over and hugged her. "That was great that you were able to call Grandma." When I complimented my grandson on it, he said, "Mommy taught me how to call her when we were playing phone games. Come to think of it, she once called me." I am impressed that she remembered how to make a phone call at that time. Still, even 5-year-old Lei tried her best to help her mother. I was so angry at Kyrie for not answering the phone, no matter how many times I called him. I wondered what he was doing. "Grandma, you know." Lei started to tell me a little bit about the situation when her mother collapsed. I was astonished to hear it. If it is true, it is a serious matter. Eventually, Lei looked tired and fell asleep, leaning on me. Ren did not regain consciousness after that, and the doctor told us that she was in a dangerous condition. So I decided to have a cot brought to Ren's hospital room so that I could attend to her. When my son and his wife heard about Ren's condition, they immediately rushed to the hospital. I wanted to be close to my mom. I managed to calm Lei down and left her with my son and his wife for a while so that we could all stay at my house. The next day, Ren did not regain consciousness. Lei came to the hospital room early in the morning, held Ren's hand, and kept calling "Mommy, Mommy" in her ear. Then, on the third day, Ren, who had been unconscious, suddenly opened her eyes. I immediately pressed the nurse's call buzzer. "Thank you, Lei. I heard you." Ren smiled weakly at Lei. "Ren, you've got to pull yourself together." "Mom, where's the baby?" "Your baby is alive and well in the incubator." "Mother, please protect Lei and the baby. Don't let Kyrie have them." "I understand." "Okay, Ren, just hang in there and get well." Ren gave a small nod. "Mommy, Mommy." "Lei, Mommy will always be with you, Lei." "Thank you, Mom." Ren's consciousness was gone again. Doctors and nurses rushed to the hospital to begin treatment, but she never regained consciousness. Even so, I could not help but believe that Ren will get well. However, 2 days later, Ren quietly passed away. I was in the depths of grief, but I couldn't stop thinking about what Lei had told me and Ren's last words. Ren was trying very hard not to give the child to my son-in-law. There must be a reason for that. I still can't get in touch with my son-in-law. I have left many voicemails, but he doesn't listen to them. I have decided to go to my daughter and son-in-law's house to prepare for the funeral and to change Lei's clothes. My son and his wife are also going to stay here for a while so they can take care of Lei. I entered the room with the duplicate key my daughter had given me and heard a puppy mewing. I remember that she told me that she started to get a puppy because Lei wanted one. His name is White because he has pure white, bushy fur. 5 days after Ren collapsed. I am sure she must have been very hungry. Fortunately, we had plenty of water on hand. The food also seemed to be okay since the automatic feeder was set up. You missed her too. I suddenly noticed something when I looked at the feeder. I also remembered something else, and when I opened the drawer of my daughter's dresser, I found what I wanted there. It was Ren's diary. That was it. I would never forgive him. I had been making preparations for Ren's funeral with the help of my son and his wife. During this time, I was still unable to contact my son-in-law. Finally, on the day of the funeral, I received a call. I'm on my way home now. Cook dinner? I picked up Ren's cell phone, which I had been keeping, and suddenly I heard my son-in-law cursing. Hey, are you listening to me? At least answer me. My daughter is gone. What? Who are you? After a moment of silence, he asked timidly. You mean my daughter, Lay? Don't tell me she's gone? He seemed to be in shock, mistakenly believing that Lay was gone because it was true that he loved his child so much. My precious daughter Ren is gone. What? Ren? You're her mother? And the baby in her belly was lost with her. The baby in my stomach was doing its best to survive in the incubator. I thought he would be happy about that, but he came out sounding all grumpy. Even if only the baby survives, who's going to take care of it? I'll raise your child for you. Huh, the old woman. He starts laughing on the other end of the phone, wondering what he was thinking. Anyway, the funeral is about to start. Come here right now. I told him where the funeral was to be held, and he showed up, still dressed in his fancy clothes from his trip. Striped polo shirts, jeans, and bright red suitcases. Yes, as if he had been on a trip somewhere. The mourners were startled by the sight of him, who looked as if he had been on a trip somewhere. I'm sorry, I was on a business trip for a week. I was at work, so my cell phone was off. Oh, you mean you've been out of town, playing around with your fling? He seemed to have gotten the point across in my sarcasm and made excuses with a wry look in his eyes. No, I didn't. I just changed my clothes so I could have a nice rest on the bullet train. I don't know about that. And what proof do you have that I'm cheating on you? I thrust my daughter's diary under the nose of him, who was trying to cover it up with a smirk, as if he was concerned about the eyes of the mourners around him. What's this? Here is a naked account of my daughter's daily abuse and terrible treatment by you. Then his expression suddenly turned grim. Don't talk nonsense. I was mistaken about something. I didn't do anything. He is trying to keep a tight lid on the situation. Many mourners were paying attention to our exchange. Soon it was time for the mourner's speech, and I received a microphone from the staff of the funeral home. Thank you for attending my daughter Ren's funeral today. She was such a sweet, wonderful girl. She was so looking forward to the birth of her second child soon, but it was that man who took Ren's life. Kyrie seemed to have quieted down once I started talking in front of everyone, but as expected, his face turned bright red. That's enough. You don't even have proper proof. If you insult people anymore, I'll sue you. I ignored him as he continued to bark like a loser and signaled to the staff. Then the memorial movie started playing. A picture of my daughter when she was born, at her elementary school entrance ceremony, in her junior high school uniform. All of them are full of smiles, which brings tears to the mourner's eyes. Recently, there is a service that allows photos and videos of the deceased to be shown at funerals. I came up with this plan when I learned about it. The photos eventually turned out to be of the wedding of my daughter and Kyrie, and the next one was of a young woman and him walking arm in arm into a hotel. It was tucked into Ren's diary. Seeing this, the whole place began to buzz. Come on, it's nothing more than an affair. I'm popular. She's my old student, and she's still in college, so I'm going to take responsibility and marry her. He was desperate or reopened his mouth and admitted to having an affair, and he seems to prefer young women. How many of his students did he have a hand in? How can I remarry someone who's going to be behind bars now? You really don't get it, do you, old lady? You can't get caught for something as simple as cheating on your wife. Then a loud voice rang out. I hate you, Daddy. You always picked on my mom? You shut up. I saw it. Daddy kicked Mommy in the stomach. That's why Mommy cried. She had a stomachache. The room fell silent, as if it had been doused with water when my grandchild said those words. At that moment, The slide display switched to a video clip. It has exactly the scene my grandchild had described. Moreover, Kyrie pushed down Lei and he ignored her suffering. My grandchild chased after him, saying, "Save my mom." It clearly shows them rushing off with suitcases in hand. Why do you have this video? It was caught on a pet camera that was in the room. Didn't you know it was set on an automatic feeder? Oh, onlookers pointing and murmuring, "Oh my God, I can't believe he did that. Call the police." Everyone was yelling, "Stop it, stop it, everybody, don't look, go away." He was in a panic, his face bright red and sweat pouring from his forehead as he screamed, and it was an appalling sight. I didn't think she'd go to the other side like that. Give me a break. I will never forgive you. From now on, you will live the rest of your life in the depths of hell. Oh no? Eventually, someone in the place called the police, and he was taken away. He was then taken away and put behind bars. The sentence should be quite long for the crime of violating my daughter and taking her life. Additionally, I requested child support for my 2 children from him. His parents paid it up front for grandchildren. They said that no matter what, they would force him to pay back once he was out of jail. Now I live with my 2 grandchildren and my eldest son and his wife. The eldest son and his wife, who have no children, love my grandchildren as if they were their own and are in the process of adopting them. Of course, our puppy White lives with us. I sincerely hope that we will be able to live happily as a family of 5, and I hope that we will be able to live happily for Ren as well.